Ice is definitely the weather word of the day in many areas of the eastern United States. Good evening, I'm Jeff Morrow.
And I'm Jeanetta Jones. You know, Jeff, freezing rain and ice have coated much of the South from Texas to Virginia, making life miserable to say the least. We begin our travels in Texas, in Dallas specifically, where up to 4 inches of ice covered north and eastern Texas roadways, virtually paralyzing the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. Motorists inched along the slick roads, although numerous accidents were reported without injuries. Traffic was affected by the winter storm as far south as San Antonio and Houston.
Let's follow this winter storm across Texas to Austin. The same story applied there. Icy roads and numerous accidents. The storm caused virtually every school in the Austin area and surrounding counties to close because getting around town was just such a nightmare. Ice accumulations of over an inch were reported, and thousands of residents were without electrical power where ice-laden trees broke and fell over the lines. Meanwhile, messy weather continued to hold its grip on the south. Icy conditions caused big problems in northern Louisiana at Shreveport today. Slick roadways and falling tree limbs made travel almost impossible. Again, schools, including universities, canceled classes because of the hazardous driving conditions.
The storm, which moved through the southeast today, has brought dangerous conditions to many areas. Nashville, Tennessee reported 1 inch of sleet last night. Today, heavy rain changed to freezing rain by mid-afternoon and roads became treacherous. Dozens of vehicles skidded into ditches and schools were closed early. Many interstates in the area were down to 1 lane because of the ice.
More sleet and freezing rain on up into Virginia, up around the Danville area. They reported sleet for several hours this morning, changed over to freezing rain. Now it is back to sleet again with temperatures stuck in the 20s. Road conditions were very hazardous because of all the freezing rain and sleet, and authorities advised people to stay off the streets, which is definitely good advice in many areas of the Deep South. Boy, we just can't seem to get rid of this whole mess. I got to tell you, folks, we are still stuck in a very stormy pattern. Shallow cold air up here to the north. That's why, as this precipitation overruns the cold air, it is not snow. It is freezing rain and it is sleet because the air aloft is actually warm and it just falls down into this very shallow layer, maybe only a couple of thousand feet, if that, of temperatures below freezing. So when the precipitation starts out, it starts off as liquid. It falls down into that cold air and it either becomes a little ice ball as sleet or it just freezes on contact as it hits the ground, the freezing rain. And believe me, we've got a lot of that. Let's go ahead and put this into motion, and you can see how all this moisture is just flowing up from the Gulf of Mexico. The yellows and the oranges here indicating, well, in Alabama, those are actual thunderstorms back into southern Mississippi and Louisiana. But up here in northern parts of Mississippi and western areas of Tennessee, that's sleet that you're seeing there. Also, some big thunderstorms with hail and sleet all the way on down toward the Houston area around Intercontinental Airport. Again, when you look at this map, the color we have here, the green is rain. But when you get into the orange shading, that is the sleet and the freezing rain. Even into the northwest suburbs of Houston, we're talking about freezing rain and sleet now. Again, we showed you Shreveport, right on up into northern Mississippi near Tupelo. Memphis has had just a terrible 24 hours with sleet and freezing rain. Up around Nashville, about an inch of sleet on the ground, and it continues all the way over into North Carolina and parts of Virginia. Now, on the warm side of this whole storm system, the air unstable enough for severe thunderstorms. We have 1 tornado watch out here for southern areas of Mississippi into eastern Louisiana. That's out until 7 p.m. local time. That does include the New Orleans area, so folks headed that way perhaps for the upcoming Mardi Gras celebration, beware of some very, very severe thunderstorms. And as we head farther east, again, the threat for possible severe weather with tornadoes exists across southern Alabama and the panhandle of Florida. That does include the Mobile area on over toward Panama City and the Pensacola vicinity as well. Radar shows all this moisture and the big thunderstorms moving up past Macomb up toward Jackson. Other thunderstorms moving on up past Crestview up toward Montgomery and Tuscaloosa. They're isolated but locally heavy. Some thunder and lightning may be near Muscle Shoals, but more likely that is sleet being reported there. It's just a nightmare driving across most of the volunteer state. This is freezing rain and sleet. Raleigh-Durham up toward the Danville area we showed you, and even the Tidewater, Virginia, getting some very nasty conditions. And the freezing rain now just into the southern suburbs of D.C. It's going to be a nightmare driving there this evening. Don't go out if you don't have to. And setting the stage, and we'll talk more about this in the forecast, look at all this cold air in the northeast. You know where that rain's going and all that moisture? It's headed to the northeast. We'll talk about the results in the forecast coming up.
Down into Maryland, mixing with sleet and then freezing rain, thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast. We've got stormy weather everywhere, and the forecast, well, check it out.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current local conditions. Current regional conditions. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. The extended forecast. Special regional information. The forecast for cities nationwide. Your local radar showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. You're watching the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to for accurate, dependable weather forecasts 24 hours a day.
We're covering 3 winter storms on the map, and that'll have a profound influence on your weekend weather. Good evening, good morning, I'm Dave Schwartz. We've had a problem on our hands for the last 24 hours from storm number 1 from Texas to the East Coast. Here in Austin, the storm caused virtually every school in the area to close because getting around town was a nightmare. Ice accumulations of 1 to 2 inches coated the region. Thousands of residents are without electricity where ice-laden trees broke and fell across power lines. In Shreveport, messy winter weather continues. Icy conditions cause big problems. Slick roadways and falling tree limbs made travel almost impossible. Schools, including universities, canceled classes because of hazardous driving. And around the horn into Norfolk,